So, week 10. I mean, really, at this point, we're sort of... If you're in the playoffs, you're in the playoffs. Unless you have some wacky league, and you're like,
I don't think so.
3 and 6, you might be available.
You're 4 and 5, 5 and 4. You're
right, but you kind of know where you're headed. Do you disagree?
I don't think so. I think some people do. If you're,
it's like a 2 and 7 team.
You're done. If you're 2 and 7.
Right.
Yeah.
But also a 3 and 6 team. If
you're probably out if you're 3 and 6. You're definitely out if you're 2 and 7. If you're 5 and 4, 4 and 5. These games, this is where
Absolutely.
You make or break. But even 6 and 3, you want playoff seeding. A lot of leagues, 12-team leagues, they have 6 make the playoffs, and 2 get byes, and the other 4 play each other. Now, a bye is huge, right? The playoffs are a crapshoot. So why have a 50% chance of getting knocked out in the first round when you can skip that altogether and be in the semifinals? So it's really important, even if you're 7 and 2, to get that bye, right?
That's true. One of my leagues has byes, one of mine doesn't.
Right. Well, the ones that don't probably have less teams make the playoffs, and then you still have to be. So I think, there's only a few teams that are set. If you're totally out, feel free to ignore.
Or you shouldn't even be watching, really.
Well, no, you should.
Why?
Don't abandon your team. Because it's integrity. Let's say you tried and set a lineup and made pickups for 5 weeks and then beat a couple teams with your 2 wins, and those teams are competing with somebody else, and that somebody else plays you now, and you're half-assing it, and so they get an easy win on you. See, it's not fair. It's not fair.
No, we have rules that work against that. Being that there are certain
penalties,
dollar payouts for specific things for the lesser teams.
Yes.
So you actually want to keep playing.
We have penalties, So like in some leagues, it's like last place pays an extra fee, second pays a little less.
Oh, I like that.
And another one we have is our stake league bet, where the guy who's in last place in the bet has to buy dinner for everybody.
Oh, I like that too.
And it's not cheap.
Does that ever really happen?
Oh, it happens every single year.
So they're all.
And in 11 years, I've only had to buy once. Okay, I didn't even buy him once, and every other year
Where do you guys go to dinner? Like Taco Bell, or do you go to
Taylor's
Ruth's
Steakhouse?
Oh, okay,
in Koreatown. Right. It's not like super high end, but it's.
Hey.
Yeah, if you're in last place, you end up paying half the bill if you're in last. If you're in second to last, you pay a third, and if you're in third to last, you pay a sixth. So that's how.
I like that. I could just see my team, someone just not showing up for that.
Oh no! The only people who don't show up are the people who have won, because they have the option. If you've lost, you show up. And I had to do it. I had to pay the double stake 2 years ago. It cost me about $300. Wasn't that bad, but and I'm the one. It keeps you. I get the appetizer. I get a main entree of shrimp as my appetizer, and then I get a steak as my entree. Cause I eat it all. One guy tried to take dessert home for his wife.
Yeah, well, you hear about that with the offensive line all the time. Like the guys will take in the NFL, guys will go and order just to go.
The rule is you got to finish anything you order at the table.
Oh, I like that.
And you can drink as much as you want to.
Good grief.
Yeah.
All right, so some takeaways for Week 10. Again, my favorite segment that we do. And this New England at Buffalo game. Seemingly, it's going to be a blowout, but this is that New England team that lost in Week 2. They're in New England, right? So
New England's not magic. This is the thing. They almost lost to the Jets at home a few weeks ago. It's another division rival. I know they destroyed Buffalo in Buffalo, but I think this is going to be a competitive game. I think they're going to get C.J. Spiller the ball. They just have to do it. Chan Gailey, get him the damn ball. What do you need to see? What more do you need to see? It's just frustrating. I do think they're going to try to do it. They have to do it. They need upside here. I think it's going to be an interesting game. I think C.J. Spiller is going to have a big game. I'm going to say that. I've been wrong about a lot of this stuff lately. Like, he's got to have a big game. He doesn't, I think he will. I think Fitzpatrick will have a decent game. I don't know if Stevie Johnson's even going to be healthy. But I don't think the Patriots are going to just crush them. I think they're going to win by 7 or 8, probably. And obviously there's nobody on the Patriots you would sit that you would normally start. We've got to see Aaron Hernandez's status. But assuming he's healthy, you start him and Gronk and I don't have to tell you Wes Welker and all that stuff. Right. So, but I think the Bills are going to
win at the end of the day.
I think they're going to win, and I would be crazy to say they're not going to win, but I think there's going to be production out of the Buffalo guys.
All right. How about the Giants and Cincy?
The Giants, I kind of they're really good. Their defensive line's really good. Now their secondary is suddenly very deep. These guys Prince Amukamara, Jaron Hosley is playing okay. Stevie Brown at safety, Kenny Phillips could be back. Antrell Roll is good. Their pass rush is good. But why do they kind of suck? What's wrong with them?
The Giants in general?
Well, they're it's like they can't stop the run suddenly, and then they give up a big play or that third down play to Roethlisberger that sealed the game. You can't get pressure. I know Roethlisberger's a superstar, but still,
I don't think Roethlisberger is really a superstar.
He is a superstar.
I disagree.
Well, I'm sorry. I know
I'm not the expert. You're the expert.
You have legitimate issues with him, but in terms of on the field, he's a star player, really a star player, borderline MVP type player. But
no way. Anyway.
Okay.
All right.
I'm
keep
just
going.
sorry.
We can disagree on
discuss this later.
Yeah.
But the point is, he's very good. And Andy Dalton's not that. But AJ Green's going to be a problem for them. There's no one that can guard him.
AJ Green did great against Denver. I actually sat AJ Green against Denver, and he ended up scoring.
I don't know
20
why
points.
you're worried about it.
Well, that was a homer pick, but whatever.
So,
still, he kicked ass.
The point is, I think in Cincy, they're gonna the Bengals guys, the key guys are gonna do well. Ben Jarvis Greenell's kind of a scrub, but he'll probably get 70 yards and a touchdown or whatever he'll get. AJ Green, some other second or third receiver will do something. And Andy Dalton will probably have a decent day. I think Eli has a good day. I think Hakeem Nicks is a guy who you should trade for, that he's kind of been...
Oh, really?
Yeah, he was rusty at first, and now he's finally healthy, and he had a tough matchup against Pittsburgh. He drew a pass interference penalty that doesn't show up on the stat line. Victor Cruz, you don't worry about. I think he's fine. He had reported to have a rib injury. I don't think it's serious. And Ahmad Bradshaw's a little concerning because Andre Brown keeps stealing these touchdowns, and I thought it was kind of a fluke one day, but it's happened a couple of games in a row. He's not catching a lot of passes. He's kind of sketchy right now. But the receivers and Eli, I think I'd feel pretty good about heading into Cincinnati.
All right, how about this Atlanta and New Orleans game? Obviously on Monday night, seemingly supposed to start all your Eagles versus a very weak New Orleans defense.
They're still weak. I mean, the Eagles cannot do anything in the red zone. I mean, I watched that last two. I had Vic in this contest that I needed him to do well. And I almost got some garbage time. It was okay in the end, but just get in the end zone. Throw the ball. Why are they throwing it short of the end zone three times?
7 sacks by that New Orleans defense that typically...
I think part of it was that the Eagles have no red zone targets. Okay, Jeremy Maclin, little. Deshaun Jackson, little. Brent Selleck is just a hammer.
Sean McCoy, though. Vic. Typically, I feel like those guys should get in the end zone.
But here's the thing. So, guys are stacked up in the box, near the red zone. And then they just start blitzing guys, right? Yeah. And normally if you blitz, right, you just run by them and throw a touchdown, right? You blitz the Eagles at the 30-yard line, they're going to throw a 70-yard touchdown. You blitz them at your own 10-yard, where are they going to run by you to? Nowhere. And they don't have guys who can beat the coverage one-on-one in short space because they don't have any big physical receivers. So what are you going to do? They're throwing the ball short of the end zone to Selleck at the 5-yard line.
Jackson, Avant, Maclin.
What are they going to do?
But last year they were doing a lot.
No, McCoy scored all the touchdowns. He scored 20.
All right.
Right, and so that was really it. I mean, those
guys
so
for this game,
touchdowns.
Atlanta.
I think there's going to be some up and down the field, for both teams. I mean, New Orleans defense still sucks. I mean, don't think that was good defense.
Okay.
I mean, they're okay.
Good to know.
I think Julio Jones and Roddy White, obviously. I think Michael Turner's going to have a very good game. I think Michael Turner's a good start this week. And for New Orleans, I mean, they get it done. I mean, Jimmy Graham and Drew Brees and Colston and Lance Moore and the whole crew. Sproles is out, so I don't think there's anyone really taking his place. Mark Ingram played a lot better tonight. I don't know if we can really bank on that, but it's just somebody to pick up in a deeper league.
All right. Well, then Seattle and the Jets in Seattle.
Ugly. Really
right?
ugly. I think Marshawn Lynch does his usual. He's always 100 and a touchdown. I mean, you can really count on him.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson has played a lot better lately. He just seems to be moving around well, finding the open receiver. Sidney Rice has been relevant. Golden Tate has been...
Sidney Rice has been relevant. I was not expecting that. Yeah.
And because he's been healthy reasonably. And then Golden Tate's been somewhat relevant. The Jets are a very tough pass defense. I don't like the Seattle passing game against them. I think you're going to look at, Marshawn Lynch to have a decent game. Sean Green, if he gets 20 carries, will get to 75 yards. It's not going to be easy going there. And some Jet receiver may do something, but Seattle's D is tough. You don't love your Jets very much. I mean, you're not going to start many Jets there. I think Seattle is really the running game, and this should be maybe a 19-13 Seattle win, something like that.
All right, and then finally, we'll talk about Monday night, but Chicago and Houston.
That's a big game.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good game. Two teams that are really two of the best teams in the NFL.
That defense is just lights out.
Well, Chicago, let me say one thing about you.
Have they peaked?
I don't think they're as good as they seem, but let me tell you this. If
really?
we knew what we know now before the season, and everybody knew it, so it wasn't just you, but we all knew it, where do you draft the Chicago defense? You draft them in the first round. Because
they've scored more points than
anybody.
Yeah.
And the difference between them and the number 2 is the difference between number 2 and number 30. Okay, so which you can't say about any other position. So basically, going forward, no, they're not worth a first-round pick if we were to draft from just this point forward. But just if from week 1 to week 9, they're the top scorer. They're the number 1 important thing to have, which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, but in real life, they're still very good. But I think that Houston, who hasn't run the ball that well, I think this is going to be tough for Houston. They need to run the ball better. They got 100 yards and a touchdown for Arian Foster against Buffalo. He should have 300 yards and 10 touchdowns.
Yeah.
And they just had an okay game. I don't know who's going to win this game. I kind of and Houston's defense is legit also, and the Bears have problems on the offensive line.
Is this like a 9-3, 9-6 game?
I don't know. Yeah, I think the defenses will probably win the day. I think it's going to be a 17-13 game, and I'm going to say Houston. I'm going to say Houston wins 17-13, but I could see it either way. But it's not a big fantasy game for a lot of players. I think 17-13.
Okay, and then finally Monday night, Pittsburgh, Kansas City. Probably the biggest spread of the week, but
12.5. Yeah.
How did this end up being a Monday night game?
I don't know. You know, the Chiefs were 0-2 last year, got blown out, and they went 7-7 the rest of the way, and so
and Jamal Charles.
They thought it might be a decent game at some point. I mean, Pittsburgh's pass defense is tough. I think the way to beat them is to have Jamal Charles, if he's not concussed, go off. But look, you never. 12.5, there's a chance Kansas City wins the game. You never want to say never.
12.5 points.
But I mean, New England was a 14-point favorite when they lost to Arizona. And so something can happen, but it's hard to envision, But I still think you start Dwayne Bowe. I still think you start Charles.
Well, Dwayne Bowe's been getting so much garbage time.
Well, but the Pittsburgh D is very good. Jamal Charles has been not even playing half the time. Assuming he's cleared, though, I think they're going to have to give him the ball. And then on Pittsburgh, you start everybody. You don't worry about it. I think it's maybe a low-scoring game. Pittsburgh may win 20-10 in case he covers, something like that.
Wow. All right. Week 10 in the books. Good luck.